Processed foods might be convenient, but they come with hidden dangers that can totally sabotage your weight loss efforts. They're loaded with added sugars, unhealthy fats, artificial ingredients, and they just lead to unexpected weight gain. Research shows that diets high in processed foods are linked to increased body fat and obesity. Welcome to the first part of our two-part series on processed foods. In this episode, I'm going to reveal the top 5 reasons why processed foods can cause you to gain weight and how to break the cycle with the addiction that a lot of us have around them. I want to make sure you tune in to part 2 as well, where I'm going to share simple, healthier swaps for your favorite processed or fast foods, plus tips for dining out at your favorite restaurant. So you do not want to miss part 2. So if this is your first time here, I'm Dr. Ashley. I'm a PhD nutritionist, registered dietitian, a weight loss expert, and the founder of PhD Weight Loss. Our program has guided over 7,200 individuals lose a combined total of over 260,000 pounds. And I'm dedicated to bringing you evidence-based information to help you achieve and maintain your weight loss and health goals. Before I dive into why processed foods cause weight gain and poor health, I want to bring to light an article published recently in the Daily Mail claiming that ultra-processed foods don't cause weight gain. While it might be tempting to believe, might like to believe that, we need to understand how such studies can be biased. Often these studies are funded by food industry or related interest groups, leading to conflicts of interest. Researchers might design studies to show favorable outcomes. They could cherry pick data or downplay negative results. They often do this. This article is likely biased and part of an ongoing effort by big food to mislead the public and protect their profits. So yes, the study is bogus. And now on to the 5 reasons why these foods don't serve you and what to do about it. So number 1 is these foods are loaded with sugars, unhealthy fats like trans fats, a lot of sodium, and it makes these foods hyper palatable and addictive for your binging pleasure. They add artificial additives. They're super low in nutrients, low in vitamins, minerals, and fiber. You know, I think our body is, I know our body is so smart, and it understands and recognizes when it's not being given food that supplies it with its needs. When we eat these hyper palatable, low nutrient density foods, our body continues to crave and it just wants more. So there's less satiety, there's more overeating. It's not as satiating as eating a whole unprocessed food item. It disrupts our gut health, it reduces the beneficial bacteria, it causes issues with digestion and the processing and metabolism of the food. It results in blood glucose spikes because a lot of this food doesn't have the fiber, has more sugar in it. We consume this food, it spikes our blood sugar, then our insulin responds with an elevation. And when we've got high insulin levels, we're going to store more fat. As a result of higher insulin levels and higher blood sugar levels, we're going to have a compensatory low. And when we have this blood sugar crash, our body says, oh my gosh, it doesn't like it. So it goes and it drives us to eat more of these higher glycemic, high carb, high sugar, addictive foods. So for the rest of the day, we're on this roller coaster of highs and compensatory lows. The stats around processed foods and what they do to the body are amazing. Processed foods make up 50% of our total caloric intake in the US. This is sugary snacks, packaged meals, fast food. It makes up a significant portion of our kids' intake as well, which is really sad. People who consume more processed foods are 50% more likely to be overweight or obese. Processed foods increase heart disease, and we know that heart disease is a leading cause of death in the US. 655,000 people lose their life to heart disease each year. Processed food increases the risk of type 2 diabetes. Ultra-processed foods contribute to more than 90% of added sugar intake in our diet, and it impacts our mental health. We see in the research over and over again that an increased consumption of processed foods leads to an increase in anxiety and depression. So when I'm talking talking about processed foods. I'm talking about soft drinks, juices, energy drinks, sweet tea, cheer wine if you're in the South, potato chips, cheese puffs, cookies, French fries, burgers, pizza, frozen dinners, instant noodles, breakfast cereals, Raisin Bran. Raisin Bran is a terrible cereal. All cereals are pretty terrible. They're just junk foods. Processed meats, ready-to-eat desserts, sweetened yogurts. You guys, those flavor sweetened yogurts have just as much sugar in them as a Haagen-Dazs ice cream. And oh my gosh, I would much rather eat the Haagen-Dazs ice cream. I don't know about you. So what can you do? How can you break the cycle? Because like I said, these foods are addictive. Well, it takes the right strategies and it takes your determination. So let's go through the strategies that you can utilize. As number one, recognize the issue. Awareness is the key. Recognize if you are eating too much fast food or too many processed foods. Understand what your triggers are. Usually we've got triggers that are wrapped around why we eat the way that we do. So is it stress, boredom? Is it comfort, ease? Is it friends? So you can use the acronym HALT also to help you with this. So H stands for are you hungry? A, are you angry? L, are you lonely? And T, are you tired? Those are often triggers for us as to why we go to these foods that we know don't serve us. Number three is how are you going to stop? Come up with a plan. Now, there are two ways I usually see people stopping their addiction to fast food and processed foods. One is either a gradual reduction or number two is cold turkey. And, we're all different on what we need to do. For me, I'm more of a cold turkey person. I've just got to cut it out. Otherwise, if I consume any of it, it just continues to tie me to the addiction. So think about that. Are you a gradual reduction person, or are you going to just go cold turkey and rip off the darn Band-Aid? When you do rip off the Band-Aid or even go cold turkey, you need to replace the item that you're letting go with something else. Nature abhors a vacuum. So if you just say, I'm going to stop it and I'm not going to replace it with anything, you're not going to stop it for long. So for example, let's say that you're a soda drinker. If you just say, I'm just not going to drink soda, and you don't replace it with a fluid of some sort, it's going to come back. I promise you that. So you could replace that soda with a sparkling water or a bubbly water, or maybe a healthier option. If you're more of a gradual release person, you could take your soda and then substitute that for Zevia, where it's sweetened with stevia. Still not optimal because you're still getting that sweet taste all the time. And sometimes it's just better to not have sweet coming in all the time. So then you could go from a Zevia down to that sparkling water. Number four is to stay hydrated. Oftentimes when we are hungry, when we think we're hungry, we're actually just thirsty. So I challenge you this week, if you have a feeling of hunger and it's really not your time to eat and you feel like, gosh, I shouldn't be hungry right now, go grab something to drink and not something that's filled with sugar. Go drink some water, or some water with delicious electrolytes in it that give it some flavor, maybe some water with lemon, or maybe one of those sparkling waters. I love the sparkling waters. That's why I keep bringing them up. And then number five is to plan and prepare. So you want to make sure that you have a plan in place, because if you don't and you just fly off the cuff, you are going to plan for failure. So to plan for success, you've got to have something there. So I always share the story with about my husband. He has a tendency to overeat. He really enjoys eating, like most of us. And he works from home. And so he'll go upstairs if he doesn't have a plan. He'll open the fridge and I'll even be like, what you doing? And he's just in there. I don't even know what I'm doing, but the fridge is open. I'm going to grab something to eat. Whereas if he has a plan in place for the following day, then he goes and as he goes throughout the day with his eating, he just checks off. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I ate that ground beef with that, delicious sauce. And I had a protein shake at 3. It was on my plan, and check it off. So for a lot of people, if you're like my husband, it's better to pre-plan what you're going to do and go check it off rather than go through the day and maybe just jot down what you eat after the fact. So I hope that these quick strategies are helpful to you and that you understand why processed food and fast food is just not good for us. So thank you for joining me in the first part of the series on processed foods. We've uncover the hidden dangers that can sabotage your weight loss efforts, how these foods are linked to increased body fat and obesity, along with strategies on how to break the cycle. Understanding the impact of processed foods on your health is the first step toward making better choices. Don't forget to tune into the most important part 2, where I'm going to share the tasty swaps for your favorite processed fast foods and dining out swaps. You're going to love it. It's going to be an eat this, not that tips that will help you stay on track with your weight loss and your health goals. So I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. If you liked this episode, please subscribe and drop your comments below on what your favorite processed food or fast food might be. And bonus points if you share a healthy swap that fills its place instead. So I'll see you next time.